So can you tell us your name, please?
My name is Barbara Little.
And this is about your dad?
It is.
Okay, so let's go right back to why, because he took some Moderna shots. Why did you
He
think that was a
did.
good idea?
Well, he didn't actually think it was a good idea, but his doctor, all of his friends, and one of his daughters, my sister, coerced him. I had sent him a lot of information about what was going on, and he said, no, I'm not going to take it. But then he wanted to go to my grandniece, his great-granddaughter's first communion. And my sister said he couldn't come unless he got the shot. So he did.
All right, and this is Moderna,
Yep.
and he had, we think, quite a few, we're not sure.
He had at least the first two. He had the first one, had 2 heart attacks in fairly quick succession. Not terribly serious heart attacks, and he survived those. Got the second one, had 2 more heart attacks, and then a stroke, and survived all of that. So much so that he would say to people afterwards, I don't think I could have had heart attacks. Who survives 4 heart attacks and a stroke? And I would say a really, really strong man who was suffering from the effects of the shots.
Okay, we have to go back a second because something's very wrong here.
Yeah.
He takes a Moderna shot.
Yeah.
Then he has 2 heart attacks.
Right.
And then, is it his doctor?
His cardiologist wanted him to get shots.
So even though he'd had 2 heart attacks
Right.
after the first Moderna,
Right.
it was advised for him to have another.
Well, yeah, because he collapsed. They were not serious heart attacks. I'm guessing probably myocarditis because he came out of an elevator and collapsed. He collapsed again at a meeting that he went to and got caught. He didn't hit the ground really hard, and it was in the first year when everyone was denying there was any correlation between heart problems and the shots. And he had had a problem in his carotid artery 40 years ago and had been on statins. So when he had the heart attack, all the cardiologist did was give him more statins.
Right, okay, it's disturbing to hear
Yes.
this. So then, okay, so he has 1 Moderna, 2 heart attacks, has another Moderna, and has another 2 heart attacks.
And a stroke then.
And then a stroke on top of that.
Right.
And at that point, is he realising that it's a shot? Is anybody outside of you realising that?
My baby sister did. That we were the only 2, and nobody wanted to hear anything about it from us.
So after the 2 other heart attacks, were they bigger than the first 2 heart attacks?
No, they were fairly mild as well.
As if that's okay. And then...
But he was a really, really strong guy. He had been a boxer in his youth, and he was one of those that really... he didn't take fantastic care of himself. He didn't eat all the right things and all that, but he just was in really good health.
Okay, and now what happened after the stroke? How was his health after that?
He started to decline a lot.
Do you know if he got any more vaccinations of any kind after that?
I don't think he did. I did tell him I thought his heart attacks were connected to the shots, and I asked him, please don't get a flu shot or anything else, and he did not.
So who was looking after him after the stroke?
He lived on his own.
Okay.
My husband and I went to him. I just could see him declining. I could hear, I would call him all the time. I'd FaceTime because he lived in Florida. And I could tell he was declining. What I didn't realize was how much weight he was losing. I mean, he probably lost 50, 60 pounds, and he didn't need to lose it. He could have lost 20 pounds and been good, but he was a shadow of himself when he died. His legs kept collapsing out from under him, and he just got so weak he couldn't care for himself. We got a caregiver. He refused to go to live with any of us. He refused to go into a nursing home. And he was 87 when he got the first shot. And, well, all of them, I guess. And then it just 2 years of absolute decline.
What was written on his death certificate? What was his cause of death?
Natural causes.
Just natural. So everything was just as it was
Yeah.
meant to be.
Yep.
Wow.
And he was under hospice care. I got hospice to help out, and took him off all his medications because he was taking quite a few of them. And that was one of the things that was really difficult for him. My mother had died 4.5 years before, and he was really, really missing her. And he was on all these medications because he had had a stroke while she was dying. Again, he recovered fine from that. And so he had all of these reasons not to get the jabs, but everybody
now,
was
did you take the jab?
No.
And did you get COVID?
I think I just had it last couple of weeks ago. I didn't get it for years and years, but and I don't know if I had it because I'm not going to get tested.
Right.
It's a coronavirus.
Right. Now, but my point of this is, do you have any of the conditions you'll die? Have you had any heart attacks, strokes?
Nope.
Or do you have myocarditis?
Nope.
Do you have anything at all related?
I'm completely healthy. I haven't had any, the biggest thing was, it was just a couple of weeks ago, I was, had this long 3 weeks worth of coughing, headaches, fatigue.
So flu-like symptoms.
Yeah, pretty much.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to the story about your daddy?
I know he was lonely and he was missing my mom, but I think really, other than the shots, what really caused him to die was he was a really big extrovert. And he had a huge community that he was involved with, which is why he wouldn't come live with me, because he'd lose all that. But, they shut down the churches. They shut down. He was a member of AA, and he was at meetings 3 or 4 times a week. They shut all that down, did it on Zoom. He hated that. And they finally, his church started meeting again. He was so isolated and so bereaved still. My mom had died a year before all of this started. So he was just coming out of his first year of bereavement when they shut everything down. And my younger sister and I took him to California after things finally opened up again. He called it his farewell tour. And he'd already lost some weight. He'd lost the initial weight and was weak. But another year and he was gone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Me too. He was a good guy.
Thank you for telling the story.
Autism destroys families, and more importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
pledged to find out what is driving the country's rise in autism.
Compiling medical records from a number of databases. He'll direct resources to study environmental factors, exposures, and external factors.
Scientific progress on this has been slow because scientists are frankly scared to ask the question.
Genes don't cause epidemics. You need an environmental toxin, and we're going to look at all the potential culprits.
With no a priori thumb on the scale, you can't look at that.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to the Secretary for finally saying from an important public platform that this is an epidemic and we need to find the causes and we need to stop it.
Other issues DHE has been pushing for years are finally gaining mainstream traction.
Today we're announcing we are removing industry members, pharma members from FDA advisory committees.
We're seeing reports that you're considering removing the COVID vaccine as a mandatory shot for children.
The recommendation for children was always dubious. The vaccine itself does have profound risk of myocarditis, pericarditis, even strokes.
Very, 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 very few people are still taking these things. In that sense, the mRNA vaccines for COVID in the marketplace are effectively dead.
We are working together to change the federal fluoride recommendations, and we're looking at the science now. There's a direct inverse correlation between fluoride exposure and low IQ in children.
Health officials announced plans to phase out 8 artificial dyes from our food supply.
The FDA is effectively removing all petroleum-based food dyes from the U.S. food supply.
We don't have a surveillance system that actually works, and that is a crime. And we will do that right away. And I understand the perverse incentives that need to be changed right away.
When there's a political will to answer a question like this, it will happen.
we're going to change things for real this time.